There's a scent to the copper in your pocket, a metallic sharpness that lingers on your fingertips like the ghost of a handshake with a stranger you never intended to meet. Most people believe they are holding a fortune, a small piece of solidified labor. However, if you hold that coin to your ear, you can feel the faint rhythmic ticking of a clock that does not belong to you. Every dollar currently circulating in the global bloodstream is not an asset, but a shadow cast by an IOU, a real tether connecting your morning latte to a corporate bond or a government promise to tax a child not yet born. This is a polite agreement made so we can ignore the fact that we are all standing in a long queue, clutching the coattails of the person in front of us, hoping the line never reaches the abyss. That is the ultimate British irony. We have built a true civilization upon the empty pocket paradox, such that the presence of money in your hand necessitates the presence of a chain on another's wrist. If the world suddenly decided to close all accounts and wipe all ledgers, the money in your wallet would evaporate into the digital ether from which it was summoned. This is a design as mysterious as it is absurdly brilliant. A system where wealth is not something you possess, but a measure of how much someone else owes the machine. As we walk through our 9-to-5 dreams, convinced we are building a life, we are actually gardening a garden of liabilities that continues to grow even while we sleep. But let's stop pretending this is a normal decision. This was a collective fever dream we all agreed to ignore over morning coffee, while the dishwasher hummed a low, judgmental melody in the background. The bank does not take a dusty merchant's gold and give it to a hopeful homeowner. It simply breathes a new reality into existence with a few keystrokes. When you sign a mortgage, you are not borrowing pre-existing money. You become a conduit for the creation of new currency, a financial sorcerer summoning $100,000 out of thin air. The catch, of course, is this: that ghost you summoned demands to be fed with interest for the next 30 years. A feast composed of your time and vital energy. A hunger that is never fully sated. The system is a shark that must constantly swim in a new sea of debt. Otherwise, it will sink to the bottom and allow its gills to fill with the sand of the soul's violent market correction. If borrowing stops, the money supply withers like a plant in a neglected London flat, and the entire structure of our modern existence creaks under the weight of its own silence. This is why, when the flow of liquidity slows, the high priests of central banks panic and frantically turn the knobs of interest rates like a DJ trying to save a failing garden party. They need you to keep wanting, keep needing, and most importantly, to promise your perhaps happy future, which you haven't even had the chance to live yet, to that ledger. History is littered with the bones of systems that try to do things differently. It reminds us that our current debt anchor is not a law of physics like gravity or an inevitable bad haircut, but a choice. In ancient Mesopotamia, kings already understood that if the ledger became too heavy, the social fabric would tear, so they declared jubilees that cleared the books. They recognized that a permanent debt society was a society on the brink of a collective timeline exit. We, however, traded that awareness for quarterly earnings reports. This wasn't charity. It was a cold, calculated, massive step taken to ensure farmers didn't burn down the temples just to feel the warmth of a world without interest. Medieval England was governed for 500 years by a system that looked like it was plucked from a low-budget fantasy novel. Tally sticks. Pieces of willow wood notched and split down the middle. One half of the money stayed with the crown, the other with the taxpayer.
Enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.
This was a world where money was a record of trust, not a weaponized necessity, and it lasted longer than any modern banking system has managed to survive without a bailout. We traded our wooden sticks for digital illusions and convinced ourselves that we were the ones who finally figured out how the universe works. Consider Abraham Lincoln's greenback, his rebellion against the financial vultures of his time, a currency issued directly by the treasury, debt-free and with no interest to be paid. It worked wonderfully for a while, financing a war and paying soldiers' wages, but eventually it was put to death by lobbyists who realized no profit could be made from money that cost nothing to you. The tragedy of modern finance is that we have chosen a model that charges us a fee for the privilege of existing. It is a subscription service to our own economy that we can never cancel. We are participants in a high-stakes game of Monopoly played with real soul, where the bank never runs out of money, but the players always run out of time. Imagine Dave standing in his kitchen in an Ohio suburb. His sweatpants are like a silent testament to a Saturday morning that has already defeated him. He looks at a headline claiming the average 45-year-old is worth nearly $1 million, yet his own bank account looks like it just emerged from a medium-sized natural disaster. Dave is not a character failure. He's a victim of statistical laundering, which turns the wealth of a few giants into a warm, fuzzy average for the masses. If you put Jeff Bezos and a raccoon in the same room, the average wealth of the room is $11 billion, but that raccoon is still going to eat out of a trash compactor tonight. In a world of extreme, the only reality that matters is the median. It's the people standing in the middle of the queue while billionaires stand at the front and spoil the view for everyone else. For Dave, Dave and millions like him, that $1 million dream is actually a $250,000 reality, and 60% of that is locked within the drywall of his home. He lives inside his portfolio, sleeps inside his retirement plan, and pays the mortgage on the asset that is supposed to save him. You cannot eat home equity, and you cannot hand a piece of your roof to the cashier at the grocery store when the price of eggs starts looking like a luxury good.
If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.
Over a canyon of liabilities with about $87,000 to cover everything beneath them. That is a cushion between a comfortable life and the total collapse of domestic infrastructure. That figure sounds incredibly small when the car starts making noises like a bag of bolts in a blender. We are the sandwich generation, trying to pay for 3 generations of expenses at once while the bread of our own future is being toasted by inflation. Dave writes checks for a memory care center for his mother while paying the cell phone bill for his 25-year-old son who still lives in the guest room. There is a specific kind of financial violence in the 8.5% interest on a parent plus loan taken by parents to give their children a ticket to an increasingly rigged game, like a cold word spoken by a stranger in a dim London bar. While the 401k limps along, the credit card balance grows with the aggressive speed of an invasive weed, outstripping the savings that were supposed to provide a graceful exit from the labor market. It is a race where the finish line recedes 5 miles for every 3 you run, and the water station charge exorbitant prices for the cup. We are told to wait for that $84 trillion great wealth transfer expected to rain down from the baby boomer generation like manna from heaven. But here's the ultimate Western irony. The money is being eaten by nursing homes and long-term care facilities before it can ever reach the next generation. Dave's mother spends $6,200 a month on assisted living. That is a slow motion evaporation of the house she intended to leave Dave as an inheritance. The wealth transfer is real, but it is being diverted into the coffers of the medical industrial complex, leaving heirs with only a few crumbs and a 2014 Jeep Corolla. The Social Security Trust Fund is scheduled to hit a wall in 2035, just as the oldest Gen Xers reach the finish line, a demographic bulge colliding with a system never designed for this level of longevity. This isn't a conspiracy. It's just a math problem ignored for decades because it was easier to print more debt than to fix the foundation. When the fund is exhausted, benefits face an automatic 23% cut, a violent market correction for retirees who were told their safety net was made of steel. We are approaching that moment when the ledger must be closed and the numbers do not point to a happy ending for anyone who doesn't already hold the keys to the kingdom. But let's not surrender to that 9-to-5 fever dream just yet, because the one thing the machine cannot take from you is the rectangular window of time that still stands open, no matter how narrow it may be. Even at 45, the compound interest machine still works, as long as you're willing to give it more than the scraps of a life spent supporting 3 generations. A single negotiation with an HR department, a slight increase in a contribution, is worth more than a decade spent wishing for a lottery win or a surprise inheritance. A quiet, dry decision made while in sweatpants determines whether you will be the person Googling cheapest dates for retirees or the person who actually sees the beat. The history of money is a history of design, and designs can be remade by the people currently being crushed under them. Whether it was the WIR Bank of the Great Depression or the digital consensus of a finite cryptocurrency, we have always found ways to trade without the permission of the debt merchant. The current system feels inevitable because it is profitable for the few, but it is as thin and fragile as a Victorian tea set in a room full of toddlers. We are those toddlers, and we are slowly
Enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on
notifications
so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.
Anyway, if you understand that every dollar is a debt, you can begin to see the world for what it is, a massive, interconnected set of promises that can be renegotiated. Real financial education is not about memorizing the average net worth of a fictional millionaire. It is about knowing how to get off the treadmill before it speeds up again. It is about holding assets that retain value when paper wealth starts to smell like the rot of a failed garden party. It is about realizing that your life is not a liability, even if the bank's ledger says otherwise, and that the most valuable thing you possess is a 20-year window between today and the unknown. The rhyme of history is short and clear. Civilizations that bind their souls too tightly to the interest of a loan eventually find themselves buried under the weight of that interest. We are living in the late stage echo of that rhyme, a moment where the absurdity of suburban life is laid bare by the cold reality of median income. There will surely be those who survive, those who remember that money is just a tool, a way to record trust, and that trust does not have to come with a 21% interest rate. But we are the poor architects of our own bondage, masters of a system that only has power as long as we all agree to keep our eyes closed. So stand tall in your kitchen, Dave, and drink your cold coffee, but do not let the headlines dictate the shape of your reality or the depth of your worth. The numbers are a lie, the metrics are ghosts, and the race is only against the version of yourself that decides to give up. The debt-based shark is still swimming, but you don't have to be the one feeding it your future every morning until the ledger finally closed. You are more than a line item in a bank's portfolio, and the world is waiting for you to realize that the exit door from the machine is exactly where you are standing. History holds hidden answers in the notches of tally sticks and the erasing of ancient debts. It is a small map to a world where money serves society.
Enjoying the
not
video,
creditor.
don't
We
forget to
must
hit that
only be
subscribe
brave
button
enough
and
to
turn on
look at the
notifications so you never
information
miss an
gap
update.
and
Thanks for
realize that
watching.
we are the ones who can fill it with something other than more debt. The global system is a heavy, rusted engine, but it only runs because we keep pouring our labor into its furnace, hoping for a warmth that never reaches our hands. It is time to stop feeding the fire and start looking for the door, because the sun is rising and the fever dream is finally beginning to crack and break. If this text has given you a new perspective on the metallic scent of the coins in your pocket, perhaps it is time to subscribe to a narrative different from the one the bank sold you. And do not forget
Enjoying
to
the video,
click on
don't forget
other
to hit
such
that
narratives
subscribe
from the
button and turn on
playlist below.
notifications so you never
However,
miss
the
an update.
ledger
Thanks for
never
watching.
truly ends, and the story of how we trade our time for the right to exist is still being written by those who refuse to be just another average statistic. We are the surreal whisperers of a new economy, those who see the ironies and the iron chains and decide to walk away anyway. The clock is ticking, but this time, what it measures might actually be your time. So make sure you don't spend it all paying off the debt of a dream you never owned.